What is going on, my friends, and welcome back to another video here on the channel. Well, we're back here in the home office, and today we're going to be taking a look at what's going on in the crypto market because, quite frankly, it has been ugly. Of course, I'm sure many of you have seen this. The market's been dumping, things have been crashing. We've actually seen a couple platforms go down, which is interesting enough, but I want to talk a little bit about exactly what's happening, my thoughts, what I'm doing, etc. Now, this is probably going to be a much more simple video than you're expecting, but I think that is worth it. And so with that said, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into the video. Now, let's go ahead and let me switch over my display real quick. Let's go ahead and move this bad boy over to this. So what you can see is that the market is ugly. Okay, we're looking at the hourlies, we're looking at the dailies, weeklies, monthly. I mean, over the last month and a half, things have gotten ugly. Now, looking at the monthly here, we can see that this pullback has now become substantial, right? BNB on -16, Floki down -40, Theta down -35, GRT down 40, Phantom down 40, APT down 30, Pepe down 33. And of course, you guys remember, we saw meme coins carrying for a little while. That thing's down. Render down 30, Sand down 30, Solana down 20. I mean, the whole entire market has pulled back. The whole entire market has corrected. Now, on a yearly basis and a yearly perspective, we are still seeing some gains, and it honestly is still holding up pretty damn well, right? If you look around, Solana still up over 580%, Render 220, Bonk over 6,000, FET over 400, OM over 3,000, Jasmy over 400, Caspo over 600. So realistically, from a grand scheme of things, this is still a correction, and that's what I feel like people tend to forget in these moments, right? I feel like in these moments, people tend to forget that there's a difference between, like real bad crashes and corrections. And I know I may use the word it's crashing, but this is not a massive macro crash. Now, maybe people have different opinions on this, okay? My general opinion is that I don't go into the whole worrying, calling this a massive problem, a massive crash, until we start to see the gains that have been put in on a macro basis, the highs and the lows that have put in on a macro basis, until those start to get lost. Once we see that, then I know we have a problem. In 2022, when we were about 3 months in, I was like, oh shit, okay, no, we're in a bear market and we're about to get real ugly because we had lost so many of the gains that we put in from 2021. The idea of it being recoverable was not even out there, right? We're like, yeah, we're probably going to go down. We're probably going to lose almost all the gains we just put in, right? And so because of that, from a more macro perspective, I still think that this is just a correction. And yeah, I may use crash, whether it's just in general speaking or whether it's in the title, because that of course does generate just more. You guys know how this goes, clicks and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, I don't feel like this is that big of a deal, okay? And whenever I show you charts in a second here, I'll explain a little bit more as to why I don't think this is a big deal. But anyway, looking at this thing, anywho, yeah, we're still up on the year, and that is what I still focus on. This is a bull market. We're in the beginning phases of a bull market. I mean, I would say we're still probably around the 40% threshold, somewhere around there. And while we have that in mind, these things are still up. Now, not all of them, right? We've seen Litecoin, we see Atom, we see EOS, we see Quant, we see all of these different ones that have gone negative on the year, but the majority are positive, and that's what I care about, okay? Now, on the hourly, as I am recording, we are still seeing a little bit of a bounce. We're starting to see a little bit of recovery, but we'll talk about that a little more in this next section coming up here. Now, let's look at some charts, and let me kind of explain to you what I'm doing and what I'm seeing in crypto and why I'm not really all that concerned, okay? So let me zoom that in a little bit more. There we go. So what we can see here, let me just clear everything off. I just want you to look at this, okay? What we can see is that we're seeing the crypto market starting to retrace and bring itself back down to some of these macro levels, okay? What do I mean by that? Well, what we saw, of course, is that previously, which was back in May, okay, towards the beginning of May, we saw that this crypto market, especially Bitcoin, we're looking at Bitcoin right now, the Bitcoin and the crypto market itself came back to these previous points of support right here. Okay, and I would go ahead and call that $57,000. And where we are right now is that Bitcoin is now retesting that previous point of support. Now, interestingly enough, this is a very, very important moment, and I'm sure you can understand why, right? Like, if Bitcoin's price is capable of holding here, now we're in a range. Now we are in a general, confirmed, consolidated range that could do anything, right? If Bitcoin's price loses this support, now we have a pretty strong guarantee that we're going to continue downwards at least a little bit, right? I would say $50,000 to $52,000 is very likely on the table until Bitcoin starts to then put in structure and determine the way in which it's going to approach this pullback, okay? But under the circumstance in which we do lose $57,000, it would not shock me in the slightest if we do see Bitcoin's price continue downwards a little bit more. Now, personally speaking, I'm not all too firm on the belief that that's going to be the beginning of Bitcoin going back down to $30,000. I've been seeing that all over the place, and a lot of people are saying, okay, Bitcoin's going back to 30 or 32 or $33,000. I'm not really firm on that. I honestly just don't quite believe it. It's possible. I just don't think it's going to happen. Not in the market we're in right now, right? And, there are some breakdown targets, right? So if we take the idea that this is a double top, right? So if we go with the idea that this is a double top, we apply the breakdown target to that double top. We're looking at a bottom for me. Let's go ahead and apply this bad boy here. We're looking at a bottom on that of about $43,000, and that's about as low as I can see this going. Honestly, don't quite think it's going to get that low, but it is possible, and there's a couple reasons it's possible. You know, like we had this structure. You guys can't forget we had the support going. And so who's to say that sometime at this given point, you know, or at some given point during, say, this summer, towards the end of summer, we don't come back down to retest that previous point of support. That is very possible, and we do see this market operate on trend lines quite often. And so because of that, yeah, I mean, I think the lower $40,000 levels are definitely possible if we lose 57,000 here. I'm just not super firm on it. And, you know, what I think you need to remember is that we're in a bull market. And there at any given point, anything can happen, right? In which we see something turn, something shift, something allow, you know, a country make it legal, a country start investing in it, Apple start buying crypto, or Tesla start buying crypto, Tesla allow crypto, all these different things that could literally just turn this market around. There's catalysts everywhere, and this market is just hot and ready. It's waiting for catalysts to start moving it back in the upwards direction. And so because of that, knowing that we're about halfway through summer already, and summer is typically either boring or red, knowing that we're about halfway through this, I just don't quite know how much longer we're going to do this. I don't think we're going to do this for the next 6 months. I just don't envision that happening. I think we're going to get through the rest of summer. The rest of summer is going to be either consolidated or just remaining quite boring here. And then we're going to use this, you know, towards the end of the year, as we do have some more catalysts coming towards the end of the year, to start moving back in an upwards direction. I've been saying that. I've been warning you since May. I had a video in May. I said crypto warning for this summer. You can go find it yourself. And I was like, listen, you don't know what's going to happen during the summertime. During the summer, we're either going to be very sideways or very boring. And what you can see here are very sideways and boring or very down. And what you can see here is, I mean, we're doing a little bit of both. And so because of that, where I am at this point, or at this given point, is that sure, the market may continue a little bit lower. We'll know, especially if Bitcoin's price does lose 57,000. And even if it does happen, I'm not concerned. I'm just going to continue to buy more. I have been buying right here where we are right now for not only just Bitcoin, I've been buying for some Solana. I bought a little bit earlier, not a ton. I did start buying a lot more Jasmine because we actually did lose these 3 breakdown targets. I think we're in a buy zone here. I like this little area for Jasmine, so I'm going to buy here. Render, again, this is another one. I'm buying a shit ton in between $5.33 and $6.90. I'm buying in here because I think there's a decent chance we find some support on one of these previous liquidity levels. It could go as low as $3.50. I don't care. I will still be buying right there. Okay, I have medium to big size buys here. I have huge buys set here. So to me, I'm ready to rock and roll with this thing, right? I actually started to pick up a little bit more Hedera now that it finally made this clearance here. I'm waiting for it. I think it's going to come back down to this 0.06 level, that 6-cent level. And so because of that, I am waiting a little bit, but I actually did pick up a little as we did break down to support there. Ethereum, I have been buying a little bit, not a ton, because Ethereum is still holding up well, right? Ethereum's not moving as fast as Bitcoin is, and so it still could have a ways down to go. I think it's going to come back to retest these levels here. It seems kind of likely, and so because of that on Ethereum, I am waiting, but I did pick up a little bit, you know. Chainlink, I picked up a little bit more as well. It's sitting right here. I bought just a tiny amount, and the reason I bought a tiny amount was because, yeah, it could hold some support. I don't like what I'm seeing here. I'm not a huge fan of this head and shoulders formation. It's not perfect, but it is close enough, and that definitely could lead it back to retesting $9.65. And so because of that, knowing that it could possibly return back here, I'm not buying a ton right there, but just a little bit. Avalanche, I did buy some. AVAX is another one that put in a similar head and shoulders pattern, but it is now already starting to retest. Let me go back. It is starting to retest this previous liquidity zone right here. And so because of that, I was like, yeah, what the hey, I'll buy a little bit of AVAX and just kind of see what happens. And so as you can see here, most of these cryptos are in zones that I believe to be buy zones. They're in zones that I think could easily hold up and use the support to continue upwards. And even if it doesn't hold support right now, and even if this market falls another 20-30%, I don't give a shit, dude. It makes no difference to me. What you have to understand is that this is the nature of the beast. You're gonna have good days, you're gonna have bad days. You just gotta suck it up, honestly. And I know that's hard. Trust me, I'm down over 6 figures in the last 3 months. You just have to suck it up. If you're in the world of crypto, you have to understand that the benefit of crypto is that it comes with massive gains. It's a massive opportunity. And at the end of the day, we're still early. The cost of that is that you're going to lose some fucking brain cells because it's so toxic how volatile this market gets. It falls and it's up and it falls and it's up and it goes high and it falls low, and it's just what happens. And you have to be okay with it. The best thing you can do is disconnect yourself from crypto. You don't need to stare at this shit all day. Dude, I'm a YouTuber. I have a company that's based in crypto, and even I'm not looking at this all day. I have a personal life. I have things that I like to do outside of crypto. I've started to develop those things in 2022 because I recognize that if you constantly base how you feel off of what's happening in crypto, you will literally fucking go insane. There's no way around it. And so because of that, the best thing that you can do is pay attention and understand, listen, we're in a bull market, but we're in a correction. Also, we're in the summertime. This is just what happens. Towards the end of the year, we're probably going to see a little bit more bullishness. We're probably going to see a little bit more green unless something absolutely catastrophic happens. But But even then, at some point, we're very likely to bounce. The momentum is in the side of the bulls. They're just resting. They were exhausted. We saw great gains. We hit an all-time high, and now it's cooling down, and that's what is supposed to happen for organic natural growth to the upside. 2025 is still set to be a beautiful year. You just got to get there. Don't quit now. Don't bitch out now. We're in the mix. Stick around, and let's just see what happens. But overall, at the end of the day, there's nothing that you can do but sit back, wait, and watch. And I will, of course, be here every morning, every other day, whatever it may be, letting you guys know what I'm seeing, what I'm doing, and much more. And so, of course, with that in mind, guys, if you do enjoy this content, all you got to do to let me know is quite simply just smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new here. So, of course, I know that you like this video. But with that in mind, of course, I can't wait to see you all later on today. I have another few videos dropping. Of course, happy 4th of July to you U.S. Americans out there. And, of course, I will see you all very soon in the next one. Peace out, everybody.